Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Horror Mine, where we talk about mysteries, thrillers, and horror movies. My name is Vic Shai, and this week, my friends, I'll be going over the criminally underrated Hong Kong 2013 horror film, Rigor Mortis. The film is produced by Japanese filmmaker Takashi Shimizu, most notably known for creating the Ju-On or Grudge series, which I'll eventually be covering on the channel once I grow a pair of balls. Directed by Hong Kong director Juno Mak, Rigor Mortis is a beautiful, stylish, and haunting film with some of the most unique imagery I've ever seen in a horror movie. The film is a tribute to the popular Hong Kong comedy series called Mr. Vampire, with many of its cast members returning for the film. Rigor Mortis deals heavily with the themes of grief, depression, and loneliness, which make it quite the emotional venture. I'll be going over the events that take place throughout the film and explaining the ending that had me wondering what the hell just happened. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to click the like button as it really helps the channel and I truly appreciate it. But without further ado, sit back and relax and join me as we explore the extremely haunted apartment complex in Rigor Mortis. Our movie begins with the aftermath of a chaotic and bloody fight accompanied by a haunting song. We meet our main character portrayed by Chin Siu-ho, playing a fictional version of himself who I'll be referring to as Chin. Chin is a retired actor who appears to have lost his fame, fortune, and happiness. While in the elevator, a little boy with white hair rushes in covered in some sort of sauce or honey. We hear banging coming from outside the elevator, which suggests that the little boy may have stolen food and ran off. The little boy runs off into the complex and rings an old bell hanging from a string. Chin arrives at his apartment number 2442, which has a Taoist talisman hanging on the door. Talismans are most commonly known for bringing good luck and protection from demons or evil spirits. We meet an old man named Uncle Yin, who is the security guard for the apartments. Uncle Yin says that he knows all the residents and their daily habits and tells Chin not to worry as this is a safe neighborhood. He then knocks on the door to the vacant apartment as if respectfully announcing his entrance before entering. Uncle Yin walks inside looking around and seeming a little nervous. "You sure you don't have anything to tell us there, bud?" He proceeds to burn some incense sticks as a way of clearing out negative energy and as a show of respect. He is clearly talking to an unknown entity that may be occupying the vacant apartment. Chin lays out his belongings, which include several of his costumes from his acting days. Standing on a chair with a noose around his neck, he listens to a voice message on his phone left by his son. The son says that his mom made him wash off the watch he drew for him and asks his dad when he is going to come home. We see Chin sporting the same hand-drawn Rolex on his left wrist that he has yet to wash off. We get some pretty creepy imagery that, together with the circumstances, seem to suggest that Chin's wife and son tragically passed away. When his cigarette goes out, he jumps from the chair and hangs himself. While the life is slowly leaving his body, we get some pretty cryptic imagery which seem to depict the cycle of life, death, and decay. All while a ghostly entity rises underneath a bedsheet and approaches the dying Chin. The ghost then appears to possess Chin's dying body and attempts to break free from the noose. Or maybe it just likes to dance stylishly in midair. A man suddenly bursts into the apartment and cuts Chin from the rope. The possessed Chin attacks the man and the two begin to fight, stepping on Chin's cell phone in the process. The man forces Chin's face in front of a mirror, which reveals that he is possessed by the ghost of a woman. He then tosses Chin against the wall, which seems to cast out the woman's spirit. Chin wakes up to dozens of residents being nosy as hell and profusely throws up some black sludge, something commonly associated with demonic and ghostly possessions. "Hey guys, what's up? I'm your new neighbor." That night, Chin reflects on his failed suicide attempt while listening to the now distorted message on his phone before it dies. He hears a noise at his front door and sees a creepy woman looking through his peephole. He opens the door to find the woman eating food offerings in the hallway. The woman's name is Feng and she is the mother of Pak, the little boy with white hair seen earlier. The two are homeless and wander the complex eating the food offerings left out by the residents. She takes a glance inside of the apartment and sees the image of a dead woman hanging from the ceiling. She apologizes for eating the food offerings and leaves, completely terrified. We then formally meet Yao, the man who saved Chin the previous day. Yao owns a small restaurant and cooks for all the residents of the apartment, even the dead ones. I absolutely love the imagery in this scene. The way the ghost of Auntie Lai is slightly visible through the cigarette smoke is one of this film's many unique and haunting visuals. Yao has a conversation with Chin where we learn that he is a retired vampire hunter, although he still always carries gluttonous rice on his person. Chinese vampires, also known as Jiangshi, hopping vampire, are afraid of gluttonous rice, kind of like garlic for vampires of the West. We also meet Auntie Mui, a kind and beloved old lady who lives with her husband, Tung. Auntie Mui sews everybody's clothes and even takes care of all the children. She asks him if he's noticed anything strange in his apartment, but he tells her that he doesn't believe in the supernatural. Auntie Mui fixes one of her neighbor's outfits with the help of her husband, Tung. Tung has a pretty big mouth and thinks that Yao is giving them free food to make them fat, believing it to be a conspiracy.
你咪話啦，可能係佢哋嘅陰謀啊，就想谷撚到我哋咧肥咗嗰隻肥豬。
While taking out the trash, Tung hears the crying and laughter of children coming from the bottom of the stairwell. He looks down to investigate, but if I heard that, my apartment would be up for lease the very next day. He sees a pale little boy cowering in the corner, whom we see has a disfigured face. If the Grudge films taught me anything, it's that it's already too damn late. Tung slips on the slippery staircase and seemingly breaks his neck to his death. Although she isn't aware of what happened, Auntie Mui definitely feels a disturbance in the force. Tung returns home to a lovely foot bath courtesy of Auntie Mui. His feet feel extremely cold and he cryptically tells her that he will be back in a few days. Auntie Mui wakes up from her dream where in reality, Tung never made it home. Uncle Yin notices the bloody aftermath of Tung's fall and finds a gold tooth on the ground. Little Pak walks around like he owns the place and goes into any apartment he wants at any time. He even likes to take a piss in other people's sinks. Pak leaves his drawing pad in Chin's apartment, which is filled with the creepy drawings we've come to expect from horror movie children. Auntie Mui reaches out to a witch doctor named Gao with the hopes of bringing Tung back to life. Gao is an obvious practitioner of black magic and performs a dark ritual that he says will bring Tung back to life in 7 days. He places a mask made of coins on Tung's face and says that she must not take it off. Sacred horror movie rule number 5 states that these shall do the exact opposite of what the subject matter expert instructed. Gao briefly mentions another method of reviving Tung but states it in his extreme last resort. Gao himself appears extremely sick and uses dark magic to light up a joint and get like a little wasted against the god's will, man. If you look closely, the smoke from his joint appears to be in the shape of a baby. We are then treated to the coolest and creepiest scene in the film. Chin comes across Feng and Pak in the hallway and Feng suddenly becomes terrified. 4 large ghostly figures holding umbrellas approach them looking menacing as hell. The ghosts are known in Chinese mythology as the Heibai Wuchang, Chinese reapers of the underworld. Like the Grim Reaper of the Western culture, the Heibai Wuchang are tasked with guiding recently deceased souls to the next life. They are also tasked with hunting down wandering souls that are unable or refuse to move on. They trap the souls in their umbrellas that act as a sort of catcher's net. The superstition of opening an umbrella indoors is linked to this myth, as one may open an umbrella and unknowingly release the captured soul trapped inside. The Heibai Wuchang are harmless to living humans unless you get in their way, which is why Feng tells Chin to stay close to the walls. As we'll come to find out, the Chinese Reapers are wandering the halls searching for a specific soul. Chin follows Pak and Feng to the basement where they sleep. He comes across Uncle Yin, who has been looking after Feng and her son for quite some time. It is revealed that Feng lived in apartment 2442 with her husband years ago. Her husband was tutoring 2 twin teenage girls that lived in the neighborhood. In a very disturbing scene, we see that Feng's husband brutally raped one of the twins. The other twin then killed him by stabbing him multiple times with scissors. However, the scissors went through his body and she ended up stabbing herself multiple times as well, killing her. The remaining twin hung herself in her grief and Feng came home to the gruesome aftermath. Feng went crazy and hasn't been able to step foot in the apartment ever since. She is tormented by visions of the dead twins, whom we now know are the ones haunting the apartment. The twins resemble onryos from Japanese culture, known in Chinese mythology as Nu Gui, vengeful spirits unable to move on due to their anger and hatred from having been wronged in their lifetime. Auntie Mui has a one-sided conversation with Tung, who has definitely seen some better days. This scene is a direct contrast to the earlier scene where Tung was alive and couldn't stop talking about conspiracies. Now silent, Auntie Mui is desperate for even a slight acknowledgement or sign of life from her lover.
可能係陰謀嚟㗎。
Actress Pa Hee-ching gives an amazing and heartbreaking performance as Auntie Mui. You can't help but to feel bad for her given the situation, even though we know what she's doing is clearly wrong. Chin goes to Yao and asks him to help take care of the twin ghosts in room 2442. Yao is reluctant to do so and tells Chin about his father, who was a Taoist monk and vampire hunter. His father left for work one day and never returned, leaving Yao all alone. He has been living here ever since. I just loved how they had the young version of Yao wear the exact same glasses as his adult version. It's like they thought we wouldn't be able to tell it was him unless he was wearing the trademark glasses. Yao was left all his father's supernatural fighting tools, one of which is a mysterious stone tablet used by his family for generations. Chin returns to his apartment and is suddenly splashed with blood and choked by Gao. He places a paper amulet on his forehead and uses Chin as bait to draw off the twins. The twins take the bait and the fight is on. The extremely powerful twins prove too much for Gao, who gets his ass handed to him. Yao then joins in on the fight, which then becomes pretty epic if you ask me. Gao again uses someone as bait when he purposely distracts Yao so one of the twins will attack him. He retreats into the darkness and prepares a supernatural string merged with his blood. He grabs the ghost off of Yao and pulls it back into the darkness. Yao pulls out a string of his own and the two successfully capture the twins inside of a wooden cabinet. I absolutely love this fight scene, which was both cool and scary as hell. Yao tells Gao to burn the closet, but by the look on his face, he has something else in mind for the twins. Chin gets one step closer to moving on when he washes off the watch drawn by his son. This must have been extremely hard for him to do, and I can't imagine how painful it must have felt. No longer being haunted by the twins, Feng is now able to step inside of the apartment without being tormented. This is a big step towards living a normal life again, not only for Feng and Pak, but for Chin as well. Through all their grief and suffering, they have all found comfort in each other, which is where the heart of this movie lies.
小爸，唔好掛住玩啦，食嘢先啦。
Yao notices the absence of Tung and speaks to Uncle Yin about his whereabouts. Uncle Yin tells him that he heard from Feng that Tung was killed by a man with lots of kids. He then shows him Tung's gold tooth he found at the bottom of the stairwell. Auntie Mui has now grown desperate and asks Gao for the alternative way to revive Tung. He reluctantly tells her that they need the blood of a virgin as a sacrifice. Uncle Yin shows up to the apartment and sneakily drops some candies on the floor to lure out any kids that may be hiding. It's clear that he believes that Gao is somehow involved in Tung's disappearance. His trap proves successful as a ghostly child grabs one of the candies off the floor. The candies in this scene are chewy white rabbit candies, and let me tell you, they are absolutely delicious and addicting. Auntie Mui fears that Uncle Yin will ruin everything and proceeds to brutally murder him by bashing his face in multiple times with an urn. This shows that Auntie Mui has reached a point of no return. She will now stop at nothing and even resort to murder to bring back the love of her life. Yao sees Pak on his way to Auntie Mui's apartment and tags along to investigate. She tells Yao that Tung has been feeling under the weather lately, but that everything will be fine. Pak then runs into the apartment and the look on Auntie Mui's face showcases acting at the highest level. Unaware of the dangers and evil inside, Yao leaves Pak alone with Auntie Mui. In an extremely dark and tragic scene, Auntie Mui offers Pak to Tung as a sacrifice to bring him back to life. His death isn't actually shown on screen, but Auntie Mui's reaction during the death was one of the biggest holy shit moments of the movie, and one of the many reasons why I love Asian cinema. Yao's device opens up as a direct response to Tung's now completed transformation into a Jiangshi. He heads to Auntie Mui's apartment, which is completely destroyed and covered in blood. He discovers a mortally wounded Gao who admits to having created the Jiangshi. We see a flashback that reveals Tung's initial tumble did not kill him. Gao is the one who discovered Tung's body after the fall, which was caused by the ghost of the child from Gao's apartment. Gao was carrying Tung's body thinking he was dead, but upon realizing he was still alive, tossed him over the guardrail to his death. Fang was a witness to this heinous crime, but who's gonna believe the crazy lady that eats everybody's food? This is where Gao's sinister plan and true intentions of reviving Tung are revealed. Gao reveals that he is in the terminal stages of lung cancer. He says that he has been smoking the ashes of unborn children to prolong his life, which explains why the smoke from his blunt resembled the shape of a baby. The ghosts of the children following him are possibly the souls of the unborn children. This is who the Wei Bai Wuchang were looking for, as Gao is extending his life past the expiration date. He needed the souls of the twin ghosts to inhabit Tung's body as a sort of vessel so that he could burn the body for more ash. The souls of the twin ghosts were much more powerful and would help prolong his life better than the unborn children. Knowing that she would do anything to bring her lover back, he manipulated Auntie Mui into preparing Tung's body for the twins. As we can see, Auntie Mui went too far and things are now severely out of control. Gao then dies from his injuries that he sustained from trying to control the Jiangshi. Yao goes into the bathroom and sees that it is covered in blood and flesh mixed with strands of white hair. Fang walks around the complex ringing her bell looking for Pak, unaware of his fate. She hears a noise coming from Gao's apartment and goes in thinking that Pak may be in there. She enters his dark room and hears something reacting to the bell coming from inside the cabinet. Thinking Pak is inside, she opens the closet and unknowingly unleashes the twin ghosts. He obviously wasn't in the closet that was moving on its own, so close that shit up, man. Yao tells Qin about what happened and of Pak's death. He says that he will set up a trap to capture the Jiangshi and that Qin needs to go look for Fang. Fang encounters Pak's ghost in the hallway and realizes that her son is dead. Enraged by her son's murder, she comes face to face with the Jiangshi whom she lured using her blood. She bravely tries her darndest to kill the vampire, but he is way too powerful for a mere mortal and kills her. Qin arrives a little too late and tosses a Molotov cocktail at the Jiangshi with a ton of style. He manages to temporarily take down the Jiangshi, but the twins suddenly appear and possess his body. The now overpowered possessed Jiangshi impales Qin with a metal pole and gets away. Yao finds the severely injured Qin and uses a spell to temporarily heal and strengthen him. They lure the Jiangshi into a fight, with Qin hoping to destroy it for good but only have a short amount of time. Yao uses his hunting tablet to trap the Jiangshi using the elements of water, earth, wood, and metal. Yao must stab his fingers into the tablet and causes his blood to run into the creases which allow the tablet to turn. Yao's arm is stuck in place and must turn with the tablet in order to function. Qin and Tung get into a brawl, but the Jiangshi proves too much for Qin. He is unable to defeat the vampire before the time runs out, and the final turn of the tablet causes Yao's arm to rip from his body. In a last effort, Yao tosses Qin a wooden sword attached to a string. The sword quickly breaks, but Qin manages to stab Tung in the neck with it. Yao notices the sun rising and, seeing no other choice, jumps out of a window, dragging Qin and Tung along with him. Tung's body bursts into flames as soon as he makes contact with the sun, and all three fall to the bottom floor. The twins are expelled from Tung's body as a result, and we see Auntie Mui emerging from the darkness. Realizing that she has lost the love of her life for good, Auntie Mui slices her throat with a piece of glass. Before completely turning into ashes, Tung's eyes briefly appear to turn back to normal. We also see a shot of the twins embracing, who appear to have moved on. Snow lightly begins to fall as Qin and Yao sadly die of their injuries. In the film's final scene, it is revealed that the entire events of the film were a figment of Qin's imagination, playing in his mind right after hanging himself. In reality, all the inhabitants of the apartment are normal people with no ties to the supernatural world. Fang and Pak are normal, happy residents, Yao is just a cook, and Auntie Mui is mourning the death of Tung like a regular person. Yao discovers Qin's dead body, who in reality successfully committed suicide. Gao is the medical examiner at the morgue where Qin's body is taken. We see the last bit of light exiting Qin's eyes, signaling that his body has fully undergone rigor mortis. In the film's final scene, Qin's son, who is alive, alive and grown up, comes to the morgue to identify Chin's body as the movie ends. This shows that the failure and end of Chin's acting career was the true leading factor of his suicide. It is also possible that Chin's wife left him as opposed to dying. The ending led me to the question, just how the hell did Chin make up such a well-crafted and detailed supernatural universe all in his mind? This can be explained as Chin was an actor and possibly acted in numerous films that involved the supernatural. One of the film costumes he kept resembled an old official uniform from the Qing dynasty, something that Chinese vampires are commonly portrayed in wearing, showing that he must have had extensive prior knowledge of the Jiangshi, which is also widely recognized among Chinese culture. It's reasonable to assume that the events we saw play out before us were a combination of Chin's real-life demons and struggles, mixed in with the supernatural and fantasy elements of his acting career. Chin must have been ashamed of how he chose to die, and his mind created a reality in which he died as a hero. And that, my friend, was Rigor Mortis. Ladies and gentlemen, this is in my opinion one of the most underrated horror films I've ever seen. There are only a few reviews of this film currently up on YouTube, and I feel that this film deserves a lot more recognition. Rigor Mortis is a truly beautiful horror film filled with stunning visuals, brilliant performances, and a great story. I don't think I've ever seen a martial arts horror film before, and this one did not disappoint. Rigor Mortis had some action-packed fight sequences that blended well with carefully crafted horror and Chinese mythology woven throughout. The music in the film was absolutely amazing and helped create a truly haunting atmosphere. I highly recommend you all check out Rigor Mortis for a truly unique horror experience you'll not soon forget. My friends, as always, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you all for tuning in, and I cannot wait to see y'all right back here in the horror mine. Y'all stick around.